how do you think people can better understand whether the company that they're in is a flourishing environment where they can move forward and progress and become fulfilled in that work, and whether they should leave? Like, how do you make that decision, and what do you think would the process be?
Yeah. So the first point I would make is that Stoicism and enacting the principles of Stoic philosophy is not accepting situations and becoming inactive in your life. So it's not about retreating from life and saying, oh, well, I can't control that, so I just won't bother. That's absolutely not the case. And, so I think people really need to understand and be able to practice the principles of Stoic philosophy, which the Stoics refer to as now it's gone out of my mind.
Always at the moment you most need it.
Just when I needed it. So the active and the passive principles. So the active ones are obviously, or active elements, I should say. Active elements are obviously where we do choose to become active in a particular area, and passive is where we allow things to affect us, for better or worse. There's times when we do just need to step back and accept what's happening. So I think the key principle from a Stoic philosophy perspective is physics in this scenario, and this is where I work with a lot of people who, in the very first instance, they're overwhelmed because they haven't quite comprehended what is within their control and what's outside of their control. And so they become overwhelmed with all of these external things that are going on, that are impacting on their ability to make decisions and act in a way that serves themselves, obviously without harming others. But it's one of the most common things I see is when people reach out and they need help, or coaching or training or whatever it happens to be, is that they tend to be very overwhelmed. So they feel like they're just a victim of their circumstances. They feel like there's not really much they can do. Maybe, as you said, they don't feel like the organization is the right fit for them, or their colleagues are not the right fit for them. But they feel powerless to make any changes to that situation because they're so focused on what's happening around them, which then impacts on their ability to take more control over what they do have control over, which is their own actions, their beliefs, their thoughts about the situation. So I think from a Stoic philosophy perspective, physics is absolutely crucial in those situations where we can differentiate between what is outside of our control, and we might take a more passive approach to those things, to allow us to be more introspective on what we do want to be active in. And so some people might see their job as just a way to pay the bills or support their family, or a step to the next level that they want to be at. And so there's ways within the principles of Stoic philosophy that we can apply within those circumstances that make them a lot more tolerable for us, and we become much less overwhelmed by the situation. So as you said, it might be that, okay, well, I can't control what's going on in the organization. I can voice my perspectives and I can contribute positively to where I can. But ultimately, I'm going to focus on my exit strategy, which might be in a month's time, it might be in a year's time, it might be in 5 years' time, it might be when the kids finish high school, and then you're free to go and do what you like. So one of the things I talk to people about is getting a realistic perspective of your situation. So most of us can't just walk away from a job we don't like. And many people at the moment are probably reassessing a lot about their workplaces and the situations that they're in and the businesses that they're running, because they've been forced into these horrible circumstances that are absolutely heartbreaking for many people. So, and that can be incredibly overwhelming for people as well. So I think it's really important to be able to distance ourselves from what we have no control over. so that we don't become overwhelmed with it and we can focus on what we do have control over.
Yeah.
And getting a really clear perspective of our current circumstances. So I have an activity that I do with people that I won't go into too much detail, but basically, well, basically I get them to draw a picture, and all of the elements in the picture represent something in their life. And, you know, it can be colorful, it can be, you know, whatever they like. A garden is often a good example. So asking them to draw a garden, and any rocks or plants or trees or anything represents something in their life. And it's amazing to see what people draw as the dominant plants in their life, for example, or, you know, a powerful river or a big rock right in the middle of it that represent certain things in their lives. And then so we start to work on where the imbalances are in their life. And it allows people to get a much better perspective of their situation, and less of a comparative analysis of where other people might be, or maybe somebody loves the organization and you hate it and want to get out of it. So it brings you back to your own situation and what you have to deal with, and a more realistic perspective of what you can do. So for example, if we go on another little tangent away from organizations for a moment, I have colleagues who work in the fitness industry. And so often what happens is people have a fitness goal that they want to achieve. And at the beginning of that goal, they're motivated, they're enthusiastic, they've got very high expectations of themselves. And it might be changes in diet, it might be changes in activity, whatever their circumstances are. You know, they've got a personal trainer, all the rest of it. But unless they actually take a realistic perspective of their current situation and what it's actually going to take to get to where they want to go, it's not long before frustration and, you know, feelings of being defeated and all of that start to creep in, because we haven't actually really, truly and honestly assessed where we are now, and what it's actually going to take. So it doesn't matter if it's a fitness goal, if you are embarking on a new degree, if you're taking on a new job, whatever it happens to be, it's really important that we apply the principle of physics to understand really authentically and truly and genuinely where we're at now and what it's actually going to take to get to where we want to go. And then just open up to the experience and the learning that's involved with that.